After a fight with my wife's family at the family reunion, everyone ignored me, like I was invisible. Her entire family acted as though I had become some nameless outsider, undeserving of even basic respect. My wife, Jessica, stood there, her piercing green eyes filled with cold indifference, not even defending me. I was her husband, yet in that moment, I was nothing more than a stranger. She cornered me in the kitchen, arms crossed, lips twisted into a cruel smile, her voice dripping venom as she whispered, "You have two options, apologize or leave." Apologize? I thought bitterly. They humiliated me, and she wanted me to apologize. A rush of defiance surged through me, lighting a fire in my chest. Without a word, I left the kitchen, adrenaline pulsing through my veins, and booked a one-way ticket to Miami. I didn't pack. I didn't hesitate. I was done playing their games. I spent that night at a hotel near the airport, my phone silenced, hidden in my jacket pocket. I lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, my heart pounding with anxiety and fury. Why hadn't Jessica called or messaged? Why didn't she notice my absence yet? Maybe it was better this way. Let her stew in her arrogance. Around dawn, just as sleep finally began to steal over me, my phone vibrated incessantly, messages flooding in, each ping louder and more desperate than the last. "Where the hell are you?" Jessica demanded, her texts riddled with expletives. But I didn't reply. Instead, I boarded that flight, leaving behind the toxic cloud she called family. Miami greeted me with a fierce heat that matched my mood. I checked into a modest motel near the beach. I felt a strange liberation. No more pretending, no more masking my dissatisfaction with a marriage that had felt hollow for months. As I settled into my new solitude, drinking cheap beer on the balcony, I finally had time to reflect. It wasn't just the fight at the reunion, it was everything that led up to it. Jessica had been distant for weeks, distracted, glued to her phone with a sneaky little smirk that I'd learned to despise. Every conversation felt like pulling teeth. Intimacy became non-existent, a forgotten relic of happier times. Even simple affection was replaced by biting sarcasm and cold shrugs. That's when suspicion took root. I knew Jessica was hiding something, but I never dared to consider the depth of her betrayal, not until this morning. I flipped open my laptop, needing to distract myself from spiraling. I logged into our shared cloud drive, thinking I might lose myself in old vacation pictures, a reminder that we had once been happy. But instead, what I found shattered the fragile remains of my world. Buried deep within a folder labeled work stuff was a video dated just 2 nights before the reunion. My throat tightened. My fingers trembled as I clicked on it. The screen illuminated with a scene I couldn't unsee. Jessica's laughter echoed harshly through the laptop speakers, cruel and playful at once. Her blonde hair tossed carelessly over her shoulders, eyes glittering with mischief as she pressed her lips to another man's cheek. I recognized him instantly. Mike Collins, a smug bastard who worked with her at the firm. They kissed passionately, tangled in a scandalous embrace, completely oblivious to anything outside their bubble of deceit. My heart thundered painfully against my rib cage, nausea twisting my gut. Every moment of that vile recording chipped away at my sanity, fueling a firestorm of rage, betrayal, and disbelief. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The late-night calls she claimed were work emergencies, the unexplained trips out of town, the secretive smirk whenever her phone buzzed. Jessica had betrayed me, not just once, but continuously, brazenly. She was nothing short of a ruthless, deceitful bitch, and I had been blind enough to love her. My hands shook uncontrollably as I replayed the video, again and again, searing the betrayal into my mind. The truth burned through me like acid, destroying whatever fragments of trust remained. Jessica's heartless words from the reunion echoed bitterly in my ears. Apologize or leave. I had made the right choice leaving, even if I hadn't known why at the time. Her infidelity now sealed the decision. Miami's bustling streets blurred below me as darkness settled over the city. My soul felt hollow yet strangely clear. I knew I had to confront her eventually, but tonight, all I felt was the bitter satisfaction of escape. Jessica thought she had control, but for once, she was the one left grasping at thin air. This silent departure was more than a spontaneous rebellion. It was the first true step toward reclaiming my dignity. I didn't need explanations or apologies. The truth was brutal and painful, but it liberated me from her lies. She might have won battles, but she sure as hell wouldn't win the war. Sitting alone, staring out at the distant ocean waves, I realized something profound. This betrayal wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a story I intended to rewrite entirely on my own terms. The ocean waves churned below my motel balcony, a rhythmic soundtrack to my chaotic thoughts. The video replayed relentlessly in my mind, poisoning every memory I'd once cherished with Jessica. Each laugh we'd shared now felt hollow, every whispered promise tainted. My heart thundered with rage, my breath shaky as bitterness coursed through my veins. I'd always believed Jessica had flaws, arrogance, selfishness, but I never imagined she'd betray me this viciously. She was a liar, a manipulator, a woman without conscience. A true bitch. Sleep evaded me. I paced restlessly, my fists clenching and unclenching, rage bubbling under the surface. Finally, I pulled out my phone. My finger hovered over Jessica's name, hesitating. What was I expecting? Answers? Apologies? I doubted she'd even acknowledge the truth. Her pride wouldn't allow her that vulnerability. But I needed to confront her. Silence was a slow poison. My thumb pressed call. The ringing felt endless, echoing cruelly in my ears until, at last, her irritated voice answered sharply. Really? You leave like a coward and now you want to talk. Don't act righteous. I spat, fury sharpening every syllable. When were you planning on telling me about Mike? Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. For once, Jessica had no witty retort prepared. She recovered quickly, though slipping seamlessly into a practiced, disdainful tone. You're paranoid, she scoffed. Mike's a coworker. Nothing more. Grow up, Nathan. I almost laughed at her audacity. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to buy that? I've seen the video, Jessica. The one you carelessly left in your cloud folder. A sharp intake of breath. Jessica wasn't prepared for the truth to surface. Her voice wavered slightly before quickly returning to its venomous strength. You had no right snooping around. I had every right. I interrupted fiercely. You destroyed us the moment you chose to cheat. A cruel laugh echoed down the line, a sound so bitterly familiar yet suddenly foreign. Oh please, Nate, what us are you talking about? You were barely a husband. Always whining, always needy. Mike gave me what you never could, excitement. Her words cut deep, leaving open wounds. I'd expected denial or remorse, but she delivered cruelty instead. I choked back the sting of humiliation. How long, Jessica? How many months have you lied straight to my face? She paused deliberately, her tone dripping with disdain. Long enough to realize what real passion feels like. Maybe if you'd been more of a man. Her words ignited something primal within me, erasing any hesitation. You're unbelievable, blaming me for your betrayal. Typical Jessica. Never at fault, always justified. Believe whatever helps you sleep, she sneered coldly. Face it, Nate. You're pathetic, running away instead of facing reality. It's better you're gone. Everyone thought so. Her heartlessness floored me. My voice softened, thick with hurt. Did you ever love me? She hesitated, a fleeting moment of vulnerability quickly replaced by icy resolve. I loved the idea of us, but it wasn't enough. It hasn't been for a long time. The finality of her confession echoed painfully, slicing deeper than the betrayal itself. Jessica was ruthless, unapologetic in her cruelty. The woman I'd married no longer existed. Perhaps she never truly had. You could have ended it honestly, I whispered, the weight of betrayal settling heavily in my chest. Honesty is overrated, Jessica retorted dismissively. Besides, the look on your face when you found out, now that's priceless. That twisted satisfaction in her voice sickened me. She'd orchestrated my humiliation, reveling in the destruction of our marriage. My anger reignited fiercely. You won't get away with this. Enjoy Mike while it lasts. Someone like you always ends up alone. She laughed bitterly. Whatever comforts you. Goodbye, Nate. Try not to embarrass yourself further. The call ended abruptly, leaving me gripping my phone, stunned into silence. Jessica's harsh words replayed mercilessly in my mind, deepening the wounds. The truth hurt far worse than the betrayal itself. Her cruelty felt intentional, designed to strip me of dignity and confidence. I collapsed onto the motel bed, overcome by raw despair. Rage battled grief as reality sunk in. Jessica hadn't just betrayed our vows. She'd humiliated me, mocked me openly, discarded me with cold, calculated indifference. But amidst the devastation, something shifted within me. Her callousness exposed the truth of who she truly was. A woman incapable of loyalty, compassion, or love. The Jessica I'd built my life around was nothing more than a cleverly masked illusion. I stared at the ceiling, clarity emerging from the wreckage. She intended to break me, to leave me hopeless and defeated. But her cruelty would not define me. I refused to become her victim. Jessica had made her choice, now I'd make mine. This betrayal wouldn't destroy me. It would become the catalyst for my rebirth. I'd reclaim my life, piece by piece, leaving her to drown in the shallow reality she'd created. And she'd soon discover just how much stronger I was without her. That I woke to the sound of crashing waves and seagulls squawking overhead, my head throbbing, eyes gritty from a restless night. The echoes of Jessica's bitter laughter and sharp insults lingered like poison. Every word replayed mercilessly, eroding what remained of my pride. She'd been so ruthless, cold and proud, openly mocking the life we'd built. Her cruel honesty had sliced deeper than any lie ever could. Dragging myself from bed, I splashed cold water on my face, staring at the reflection in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot, the lines around them deepening overnight. How had I missed the signs? Had I truly been blind, or simply chosen ignorance to spare myself this brutal pain? I needed answers, ones Jessica refused to give me. But there was someone else who knew the truth. Mike Collins. The bastard who'd helped shatter my world deserved to face me, deserved to confront the wreckage he'd helped create. A surge of anger drove my decision. I wouldn't let Jessica have the last word. Without hesitation, I opened my laptop, searching social media until I found Mike's profile. There he was, arrogant grin plastered across his smug face, the perfect representation of privilege and entitlement. My fingers flew across the keyboard, fueled by pure adrenaline. We need to talk. Now. I stared at the message, heart pounding, awaiting his response. The notification pinged quicker than expected, mocking in its casual tone. Didn't think you'd have the guts. I'm free this afternoon. His arrogance was infuriating, yet oddly motivating. Mike underestimated me just like Jessica always had. He thought I was weak, too weak to confront him directly. He was wrong. We agreed to meet at a small cafe downtown, neutral territory. I arrived early, choosing a table in the corner, watching anxiously as pedestrians drifted by outside. My stomach knotted in anticipation, pulse racing. Finally, I spotted Mike approaching confidently, sunglasses perched atop his head, a cocky smirk curving his lips. He was exactly Jessica's type. Confident, unapologetically arrogant, and perfectly willing to step on anyone to get what he wanted. He sat across from me, leaning back casually as if meeting for coffee with a friend. "So," he said lazily, meeting my stare with practiced indifference. "What's this about, Nate?" The familiarity with which he used my name grated like sandpaper. My fists tightened beneath the table. "Drop the act, Mike. You know exactly why I'm here." He chuckled mockingly. "Ah, Jessica. Figured you'd be whining sooner or later. Let me guess. She hurt your feelings?" His tone, dripping with condescension, ignited something dangerous inside me. I leaned forward, voice sharp with rage. "You both played me, and you're damn proud of it. Why her? What did you gain from destroying my marriage?" Mike's eyes flickered briefly with surprise at my sudden strength, but he quickly regained his arrogance. "Destroy your marriage? Please," he snorted. Jessica came running willingly. "She's bored easily, you know that better than anyone. Honestly, you made it too easy. You're predictable, Nate." I struggled to control my anger, gripping the table edge until my knuckles whitened. "You have no conscience at all, do you?" He shrugged, indifferent. "It wasn't personal. Jessica wanted excitement, I provided it. You couldn't. Simple as that." My heart thudded painfully in my chest. Even coming from him, the words stung. Reopening wounds Jessica had already torn wide. Still, I forced composure, determined not to let him see how deeply he'd struck. "You realize she'll do the same thing to you?" I warned, voice steady but edged with bitterness. "Jessica uses people, discards them when she gets bored." Mike's arrogant expression faltered slightly, doubt flickering briefly before he smothered it with bravado. "Don't worry about me, Nate. Worry about yourself. Jessica made it pretty clear you're no longer welcome." His confidence masked unease, confirming what I'd suspected. He didn't fully trust Jessica either. Yet he'd risked it all anyway, willingly becoming another casualty in her twisted games. I leaned closer, voice dropping dangerously low. "You're both toxic. Enjoy it while it lasts. When she inevitably betrays you, and she will, you'll finally understand exactly how it feels." Mike's smile slipped fully, replaced by quiet hostility. He stood abruptly, glancing down contemptuously. "You're pathetic, Nate. Accept defeat with some dignity. Jessica chose me because she saw you for what you truly are, a weak, spineless fool." His words sliced deeply, echoing Jessica's insults almost verbatim. He strode away without another glance, leaving me alone, seething with a potent mix of anger, humiliation, and pain. Sitting there, my coffee untouched, the crushing weight of betrayal pressed heavily upon my chest. Mike and Jessica both delighted in my humiliation, their cruelty a mirror reflection of each other's ugliness. Yet beneath the ache of defeat, a new clarity emerged. I'd confronted Mike, looked directly into the eyes of the man who'd stolen my wife, and seen nothing but emptiness. His arrogance masked insecurity. Jessica's cruelty hid her own brokenness. They deserved each other, both trapped in the toxic web they'd created. As I left the cafe, resolve hardened within me. They might have won this round, but I was far from defeated. I'd lost enough. Now it was time to reclaim myself. Days blurred into nights as I wandered Miami, lost in thought. The conversations I'd had with Jessica and Mike circled endlessly in my head, each bitter word leaving fresh scars. Anger and humiliation warred within me, but beneath that turmoil, clarity was slowly forming. My marriage had died long before Jessica's betrayal became visible. Her cruelty was merely the catalyst for this painful awakening. I spent hours walking aimlessly along the shore, letting the salty breeze whip across my face, trying to wash away the bitterness of betrayal. Each crashing wave mirrored my emotional turmoil. Relentless, chaotic, unstoppable. Jessica's face haunted me, twisted in cruelty. Mike's arrogant smirk lingered mockingly in my memory. Yet, amidst the storm, I began confronting uncomfortable truths I'd ignored for years. Our marriage had never been equal. Jessica thrived on control, often belittling me openly in front of friends and family. At first, I dismissed it as playful teasing, just her sense of humor. Over time, though, her remarks grew colder, sharper, intentionally hurtful. My confidence gradually eroded, replaced by quiet insecurity. I'd allowed Jessica's harshness to define me, shrinking further each time she laughed at my expense. Perhaps Mike was right. I had been predictable, overly accommodating, unwilling to stand my ground. But did that justify betrayal? Did my flaws somehow excuse Jessica's cruelty? No, I refused to bear responsibility for her selfish choices. Jessica had chosen infidelity freely, reveling in deception without remorse. As I grappled with this realization, my phone buzzed. My heart skipped anxiously as I saw my mother's name flash on screen. I'd been avoiding her calls since leaving the reunion, unsure how to explain the chaos Jessica had unleashed. I hesitated briefly, guilt tugging at my conscience, before finally answering. Nate? Her voice trembled softly with worry. Are you okay? I've been so worried. A lump formed instantly in my throat. My mother's compassion felt comforting yet painful after weeks of cruelty and neglect from Jessica. I'm alive, I managed weakly, fighting emotions threatening to break free. Not great, but surviving. There was a pause, gentle and patient. Jessica called me, she admitted softly. She told us you'd abandoned her without reason, that you just disappeared. I swallowed bitterly. Jessica's lies were spreading quickly. My anger ignited sharply. She cheated, Mom. She's having an affair with someone from work. When I confronted her, she mocked me, blamed me. She's turning everyone against me. Silence filled the line momentarily, heavy with sorrow and disbelief. Oh, Nate, I'm so sorry. I had no idea things had gotten so bad. Jessica was always convincing, but I never imagined she'd betray you like this. Her words soothed a deep ache within me, validation finally piercing Jessica's narrative of blame. She made me feel worthless, Mom. All these years, I let her convince me I wasn't enough. You are enough, Nate, my mother replied gently, fiercely protective. Jessica's choices reflect her, not you. She's cruel and manipulative. I see that now, but you deserve better. You always have. My vision blurred with tears. Her words eased some of the burden weighing heavily upon my chest. I'd been drowning in Jessica's cruelty for so long that I'd forgotten what genuine kindness felt like. Maybe leaving wasn't cowardly, I whispered hoarsely, voice breaking slightly. Maybe it was survival. I had to escape. It wasn't cowardice, it was courage, she affirmed quietly. Choosing yourself after years of cruelty is brave. Jessica doesn't control your story anymore. You do. Her gentle wisdom resonated powerfully, sinking deep into my wounded soul. Jessica's betrayal had stripped away everything I'd known. Yet perhaps this loss offered a chance for renewal, a fresh beginning free from her cruelty. How do I start over? I asked, vulnerable and raw. I've lost everything. Not everything, she reminded me warmly. You've lost someone who never valued you, but you've gained freedom. Heal yourself first. Everything else comes later. The truth of her words settled within me, calming some of my inner chaos. I had a choice, to remain trapped in Jessica's betrayal, defined by her cruelty, or to rise above it, reclaiming the dignity she'd stripped away. I'm scared, I confessed honestly, the admission heavy yet liberating. I don't know who I am without her. You'll discover who you truly are, she assured gently, voice brimming with hope. And trust me, that man will be stronger, wiser, and far more genuine. Jessica held you down for too long. Now you can finally become who you're meant to be. Her unwavering belief ignited a tiny spark of courage deep within me. I wasn't entirely alone. I still had people who believed in my worth, who saw beyond Jessica's cruel facade. When our call ended, I stared out across the darkening horizon, a profound peace slowly emerging from the ashes of betrayal. Jessica's cruelty had wounded me deeply, yet now I recognized it had also set me free. I was battered, broken, but not defeated. I had faced the truth. Now I was ready to rebuild myself from the ruins. Weeks passed, blending seamlessly into one another. I stayed in Miami, living simply, a shadow of the man I'd once been, yet somehow freer. Jessica's betrayal still haunted me, but her cruelty gradually faded. Losing power each day, I reclaimed my dignity. Her harsh words had once defined my reality. Now, they echoed distantly, weakened by my resolve. One rainy afternoon, while sipping coffee at a quiet cafe near my motel, my phone lit up with an unknown number. My pulse quickened immediately. Jessica had remained silent since our bitter confrontation, but deep down, I knew her pride wouldn't allow her absence forever. Anxiety tightened my chest as I answered hesitantly. Nate. Her voice was deceptively calm, yet carried the familiar sharp edge of disdain I'd come to despise. We need to discuss practical matters. This avoidance has gone on long enough. My stomach twisted bitterly at her casual arrogance, her refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Practical matters? I echoed dryly, anger simmering beneath the surface. You mean the divorce you forced upon us? She sighed dramatically, clearly annoyed. Let's not drag this out. I've moved on, you should too. We both knew it was over long ago. You moved on while we were still married. I snapped bitterly, unable to resist challenging her cruelty. You betrayed me, Jessica. Don't pretend this was mutual. Her sharp laugh cut through the phone like ice. Betrayed you? Please. You played the victim well, but you made it easy for me to find someone better. At least Mike knows how to keep things interesting. Her words stung anew, reopening wounds I'd worked hard to heal. I steadied my breath, forcing calmness into my voice. Your cruelty doesn't surprise me anymore. It's just pathetic. Call it whatever you like, she retorted dismissively. We still need to finalize this divorce. The house, the accounts, everything needs resolution. Let's handle it quickly. She sounded bored, already emotionally detached. To her, our marriage was merely a transactional inconvenience. Despite my disgust, I knew she was right. We had practical matters to settle. But Jessica's cold indifference only deepened my resolve to protect myself. I'll send my lawyer, I said sharply, surprising even myself. I'm done dealing with your cruelty directly. You've already taken enough from me. She paused, momentarily stunned. Jessica had expected weakness, vulnerability, a desperate attempt at reconciliation. My newfound strength unsettled her, even angered her. You think hiring a lawyer will make you stronger? She mocked bitterly. You're still the same weak man who ran from confrontation. I'm not weak, I interrupted fiercely, determination coloring my voice with newfound confidence. I was weak when I tolerated your cruelty. Hiring a lawyer isn't weakness. It's protecting myself from someone incapable of honesty or decency. Jessica inhaled sharply, anger sparking dangerously in her voice. Careful, Nate. You don't want this getting messy. Threatening me? I laughed darkly. You already destroyed our marriage. What more damage could you possibly inflict? You have no idea, she sneered coldly, lowering her voice to a malicious whisper. You think leaving humiliated me? You're delusional. Your pathetic departure only confirmed what everyone already believed. You weren't man enough for me. Her venomous words aimed to break me, yet I stood firm. I don't care about your threats or insults anymore. Your cruelty no longer defines me. Jessica scoffed, her tone suddenly desperate beneath the arrogance. Believe whatever helps you sleep, Nate. Just sign the damn papers when your lawyer gets them. The sooner you're out of my life, the better. She hung up abruptly, leaving silence heavy in her wake. I stared blankly at the phone, trembling with residual anger. Jessica's coldness was predictable, yet still cut deeply. Her cruelty was relentless, designed specifically to humiliate, control, and wound. But beneath my anger simmered unexpected relief. This confrontation finally solidified my decision. I was truly done. Jessica no longer controlled my narrative. Her bitterness merely highlighted the toxicity I'd escaped. Later, walking along the empty beach beneath gray skies, I wrestled with uncertainty about the future. Divorce wasn't easy. It was messy, painful, complicated. But Jessica had forced my hand, leaving no alternative. My choice was clear: protect myself, reclaim dignity, rebuild my life. I called an attorney that evening, arranging for swift proceedings. Jessica believed I was predictable, weak, easily manipulated. She expected compliance, submission, but her assumptions underestimated my resilience. I refused to let her cruelty define my future. Jessica had stolen enough time, trust, confidence. But this divorce was my final stand, a declaration of strength she couldn't crush. Let her have Mike, the house, her empty victories. I'd have something far more valuable. Freedom from cruelty, peace from constant manipulation. Days later, paperwork arrived. Signing felt both liberating and somber, finalizing the end of a marriage tainted by betrayal. Yet with each stroke of the pen, bitterness lessened, replaced gradually by quiet hope. Jessica's cruelty had wounded me deeply, yet inadvertently taught crucial lessons: self-worth, dignity, strength. The divorce marked not defeat, but renewal. I'd chosen myself over cruelty, courage over humiliation. Jessica no longer dictated my reality. This painful choice had finally set me free. The ink on the divorce papers dried quickly, but the heaviness of Jessica's cruelty lingered. It wasn't relief I initially felt, but rather a strange emptiness, like waking from a turbulent dream to find silence instead of chaos. For the first time in years, Jessica's bitterness no longer defined me. I was alone, uncertain yet finally free. Adjusting to life after divorce was more complicated than I expected. Miami was still a refuge, but now I needed more than mere escape. I needed purpose, something meaningful to rebuild from the wreckage Jessica left behind. I rented a modest apartment near the beach, small but peaceful. Furnished simply, its walls bare except for an old photo of me with friends, long before Jessica's cruelty darkened my life. The image brought comfort, reminding me of who I'd been before losing myself to Jessica's manipulations. Slowly, day by day, I began reclaiming fragments of the man Jessica had tried to erase. I returned to my love of cooking, something she'd always mocked as a waste of time. Preparing meals brought surprising peace. Each new recipe was a quiet rebellion against her disdain. I started jogging daily along the beach, the rhythm of my footsteps matching the waves crashing beside me. Physical exertion became therapy, clearing my mind, easing my pain, replacing Jessica's bitter echoes with the calming sounds of nature. The strength gained from running wasn't merely physical. It symbolized reclaiming power Jessica had stolen, step by step, breath by breath. However, despite outward progress, inner healing remained elusive. Jessica's betrayal still haunted me. Moments of clarity alternated with sudden waves of sadness and rage. Her cruelty had etched deep scars, and while physically I grew stronger, emotionally I still struggled to fully free myself from her shadow. Late one evening, unable to sleep, I found myself revisiting old text conversations. Her harsh words burned fresh again, reigniting familiar pain. I quickly deleted everything, heart racing bitterly. Jessica's poison lingered because I'd allowed it. Revisiting wounds kept her cruelty alive. True freedom required severing every tie to her toxic legacy. Determined, I systematically purged every trace of Jessica from my life. Old photos, shared accounts, mutual friends who only perpetuated her lies. With each deletion, relief gradually replaced resentment. Jessica's cruelty had thrived on control. Reclaiming power meant removing her ability to dictate my thoughts or feelings. Yet despite my progress, loneliness remained a constant companion. Divorce isolated me. I had acquaintances, but no genuine friends in Miami. Jessica's cruelty had alienated me from many relationships back home, leaving gaps difficult to fill. I yearned for connection, someone who understood the depth of betrayal I'd experienced. Yet finding trust again felt impossible. Unexpectedly, that connection emerged during a chance encounter at a local bookstore. Browsing absent-mindedly one afternoon, a book on healing after divorce caught my eye. Embarrassed, I reached for it, only to collide awkwardly with another hand reaching simultaneously. "Oh, sorry," a gentle voice laughed nervously. I turned, startled by warm brown eyes and an apologetic smile. She was beautiful in a quiet, genuine way, the complete opposite of Jessica's calculated elegance. "No, my fault," I managed, heart racing strangely. She glanced at the book between us, cheeks coloring slightly. "Going through it too?" she asked softly, vulnerability evident yet confident in her honesty. Surprised by her openness, I nodded slowly. "Recently divorced, still adjusting." Her gaze softened understandingly. "Same here. It's strange, isn't it?" The relief mixed with loneliness. I smiled bitterly. Exactly. Relief, loneliness, and anger, all at once. She laughed gently, nodding in quiet agreement. "Sounds familiar. I'm Sarah, by the way." "Nate?" I replied, suddenly hopeful. cautiously curious about this woman whose honesty felt so refreshing after years trapped by Jessica's cruelty. We talked briefly, small conversation, yet strangely comforting. Sarah had experienced betrayal too, though she didn't share specifics. Still, her compassion and understanding resonated deeply, bridging emotional gaps created by Jessica's ruthless manipulations. We exchanged numbers hesitantly, both unsure yet eager for genuine connection. As I left the bookstore, something shifted subtly within me. A cautious optimism, fragile yet persistent. Jessica's cruelty had shattered trust. Sarah's kindness offered hope for rebuilding it. Our friendship blossomed slowly, built carefully upon honesty and shared vulnerability. Sarah understood betrayal's lingering wounds, gently encouraging healing without pressuring openness before I was ready. Her sincerity felt both healing and terrifying. Trusting anyone after Jessica's cruelty required immense courage. One evening, sitting together quietly on the beach, I finally shared my full story. Jessica's infidelity, manipulation, relentless cruelty. Words poured freely, painful yet liberating, releasing burdens I'd carried silently too long. Sarah listened compassionately, never interrupting, quietly supportive as my deepest wounds finally found voice. When I finished, drained yet lighter somehow, Sarah smiled softly, squeezing my hand reassuringly. "You're stronger than she ever realized, Nate. Jessica never truly saw you, but I do. And I promise, cruelty won't define your future." Her words settled warmly into my wounded heart. Jessica's betrayal had nearly destroyed me, yet somehow led me here, to this moment of profound honesty, vulnerability, and hope. As we watched the sun set gently over the waves, Jessica's cruelty finally began fading. Not forgotten, but losing strength. Sarah's quiet presence confirmed a powerful truth. I was no longer alone. Reclaiming my life meant embracing vulnerability, risking trust despite past betrayal. And for the first time since Jessica's cruelty shattered everything, healing finally felt possible. Time drifted gently onward, and with it came gradual healing. The wounds Jessica inflicted never fully vanished, but slowly, their sting dulled, replaced by strength, clarity, and a newfound resilience I hadn't believed possible. Sarah's friendship anchored me, her quiet compassion a constant reminder that Jessica's cruelty no longer controlled my narrative. Yet despite progress, unexpected events had a way of testing me. One warm evening, while cooking dinner alone, my phone buzzed. The familiar dread seized me briefly. Jessica hadn't contacted me since finalizing our divorce months ago, but instinctively, I knew she still enjoyed causing chaos. The message confirmed my fears. "Nate, I need to talk to you. Urgent. Please answer." My pulse quickened anxiously. Jessica rarely used the word please. She preferred cruelty or manipulation. Unease gnawed at me, curiosity and dread warring within. Reluctantly, I replied, "What could possibly be urgent now?" Her response was almost immediate. "Mike left me. I have no one. I just need to talk. Please, Nate." My heart skipped unexpectedly. Jessica's message was raw, vulnerable, so unlike the cruel woman who'd betrayed me. Yet suspicion lingered. Jessica excelled at manipulation, playing the victim whenever convenient. Could I risk reopening wounds finally healing? Minutes passed as I struggled internally. Compassion battled self-preservation. I owed Jessica nothing. Her cruelty had nearly destroyed me. Yet her vulnerability touched something unresolved deep within. Against better judgment, I called her. Jessica answered immediately, voice trembling softly, sounding genuinely shaken. "Nate, thank you. I didn't think you'd call." "What happened, Jessica?" I asked cautiously, anger softened slightly by genuine curiosity. "I thought Mike was everything you wanted." She laughed bitterly, voice breaking painfully. "Turns out he wanted the thrill of stealing someone else's wife, not actually keeping her." Despite my justified anger, unexpected pity surfaced. Jessica's arrogance had vanished, replaced by quiet desperation. Yet memories of her cruelty tempered my sympathy. "Jessica, what do you want from me?" I asked firmly, guarding myself carefully. "You chose this. You destroyed us for excitement, remember? She sighed heavily, voice raw with regret. I know. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve my cruelty, Nate. I see that now. Her apology startled me, yet suspicion remained. Jessica had always known exactly what to say. Could I trust sincerity from someone so adept at cruelty? You hurt me deeply, I reminded gently, voice firm. An apology doesn't erase betrayal or cruelty. I don't expect forgiveness, she whispered quietly, voice wavering vulnerably. But you deserved an apology long ago. My pride wouldn't allow it. But losing Mike, losing everything, it forced honesty. Silence stretched heavily between us. Jessica's vulnerability felt painfully sincere, yet scars from her cruelty remained raw. Could genuine remorse replace years of calculated betrayal? You used cruelty deliberately, I said slowly, voice steady but compassionate. You destroyed my confidence intentionally, Jessica. Why? Her quiet sob echoed painfully, vulnerability deepening further. Because cruelty gave control. If I hurt you first, you couldn't hurt me. It was easier hurting others than admitting my own flaws. Her honesty shook me profoundly. Jessica's cruelty had masked deep insecurities, fears she'd hidden expertly beneath arrogance. Understanding didn't erase pain, but it provided clarity. Hurting others doesn't heal you, I replied gently, voice calm yet resolute. It traps everyone, including yourself, in cycles of cruelty. Jessica, you deserve healing too, but you have to choose vulnerability, not cruelty. She sniffled softly, breath shaking unevenly. I don't know how. Cruelty became my armor for so long. I don't even recognize myself anymore. Her raw admission resonated deeply. Jessica had wounded me profoundly. Yet beneath cruelty existed someone equally broken, desperately afraid of vulnerability. Compassion softened lingering anger, though trust remained fragile. Jessica, you must face consequences of your choices, I said quietly but firmly. Mike leaving hurts, but you chose that path. Cruelty alienates everyone eventually. Heal yourself first. Only then can you rebuild genuine relationships. Her quiet pause indicated thoughtful reflection. Jessica rarely considered consequences before. Perhaps genuine remorse finally penetrated arrogance, cruelty giving way to self-awareness. You're right, she admitted softly, voice heavy yet resolved. I have consequences to face and wounds I caused to heal. You deserved better from me, Nate. I'm genuinely sorry. Jessica's apology didn't erase scars from cruelty, but its sincerity began easing long-held bitterness. Her vulnerability humanized cruelty, revealing brokenness behind arrogance. Forgiveness felt distant, yet understanding became possible. Jessica, your apology means something, I admitted quietly. But words alone aren't enough. Real change requires actions. Heal your wounds. Then maybe we both move forward. I understand, she replied softly, voice resolute despite pain. Cruelty defined me far too long. It's time vulnerability did instead. Thank you, Nate, for honesty despite everything. Ending our call left me emotionally drained, yet strangely lighter. Jessica's cruelty had defined our past. But this vulnerability hinted at potential healing, reconciliation possible through genuine change. Later, walking along the moonlit shore, clarity slowly emerged. Jessica's cruelty had wounded me profoundly, yet taught invaluable lessons about dignity, strength, forgiveness. Her vulnerability confirmed cruelty's toxic emptiness. True strength came from authenticity, compassion despite betrayal. Jessica faced her own painful journey now, confronting cruelty's consequences. Yet my path forward felt clearer, empowered by forgiveness without obligation. Her cruelty once shattered me. Now vulnerability rebuilt stronger foundations, compassion, resilience, honesty. Jessica's betrayal had nearly destroyed everything, but rising from its ashes allowed reclaiming strength she'd never imagined possible. Her cruelty faded finally, not forgotten, but replaced by strength born from overcoming its destructive power. And in reclaiming my narrative from Jessica's cruelty, healing became genuinely attainable. Jessica's call marked a turning point. Her vulnerability had shaken me deeply, unveiling the brokenness beneath the cruelty. Yet despite my compassion, boundaries were crucial. Jessica's remorse didn't erase the scars left behind. Forgiveness didn't necessitate reconciliation, only the release of lingering bitterness. Sarah listened patiently as I shared details from Jessica's unexpected apology. Her gentle gaze offered reassurance, free from judgment or insecurity. Unlike Jessica's manipulative tactics, Sarah's kindness felt genuine, grounded in sincere empathy rather than strategic calculation. "What do you feel, Nate?" Sarah finally asked softly, sipping her tea calmly beside me. "About Jessica, I mean, does her apology change anything?" I sighed deeply, carefully choosing words reflecting inner truth. Jessica's cruelty cut deep. Her apology helps. It lessens bitterness slightly, but doesn't erase pain or betrayal. Forgiveness is gradual. Trust may never return. Sarah nodded thoughtfully, her quiet acceptance comforting. Forgiveness is complicated. It frees us more than those who've wronged us. Jessica's cruelty imprisoned you emotionally. Maybe forgiving her finally releases you fully. Her gentle wisdom resonated deeply. Jessica's cruelty had stolen power for years, bitterness keeping wounds painfully fresh. Perhaps genuine forgiveness offered freedom, allowing full healing beyond mere coping. Days passed gently, reflecting deeply on Sarah's insight. Jessica's cruelty had dictated my emotional reality far too long. Her remorse presented opportunity, choosing forgiveness not from obligation, but as ultimate liberation from cruelty's lingering chains. Unexpectedly, a handwritten letter arrived several weeks later. Jessica's familiar handwriting evoked old anxiety briefly, but curiosity outweighed fear. Carefully, I opened it, heart racing uncertainly. "Nate, writing this isn't easy but necessary." Our call began something powerful within me. Painful self-awareness I've avoided through cruelty too long. Facing the damage inflicted on you is devastating, but crucial for real change. I hurt you profoundly, intentionally. My cruelty was cowardice, shielding myself behind arrogance, manipulation, and betrayal rather than confronting my own insecurities. You deserved far better than my cruelty. Our marriage failed because of me, not you. This letter won't erase pain inflicted, but please know remorse is genuine. Your strength confronting cruelty inspired courage finally confronting my own flaws. I hope someday, forgiveness might be possible. Not to ease my guilt, but for your freedom from lingering bitterness. I wish you genuine happiness. Nate, you deserve peace cruelty never allowed. Thank you for honesty despite betrayal. Forgiveness isn't owed, but would symbolize hope cruelty didn't destroy everything. Sincerely, Jessica. My hands trembled slightly holding Jessica's letter. Her vulnerability pierced deeper barriers, sincerity evident beneath humility once unimaginable. Jessica's cruelty had hidden profound self-loathing. Her remorse finally allowed genuine change. Yet forgiveness wasn't simple. Cruelty inflicted lasting wounds, healing gradually. Her apology helped significantly, validating pain she'd previously dismissed cruelly. Still, bitterness lingered stubbornly, reminding trust couldn't return easily. I reread Jessica's letter frequently, internal conflict battling compassion versus residual anger. Slowly, forgiveness began emerging, not as absolution for cruelty, but reclaiming emotional freedom. Jessica's remorse provided clarity, validation previously denied. Now, forgiveness finally meant releasing cruelty's lingering power completely. Weeks later, sitting quietly with Sarah beneath brilliant sunset hues, I finally shared Jessica's letter openly. Words flowed freely, burdens lifting with each honest admission. Sarah listened compassionately, quietly supportive without pressure or judgment. Jessica's cruelty shattered me profoundly. I finally whispered, voice raw yet resolute. Yet perhaps her apology provided clarity, finally freeing bitterness imprisoned far too long. Forgiveness isn't forgetting betrayal, cruelty inflicted, but releasing pain it caused. Sarah squeezed my hand gently, smiling warmly. Jessica's cruelty doesn't define your future, Nate. Forgiveness allows moving forward fully, not trapped by bitterness anymore. Choose freedom beyond cruelty's shadows. You've earned genuine peace. Her gentle wisdom resonated powerfully, clarifying inner turmoil. Jessica's cruelty wounded profoundly, but holding on to bitterness only prolonged pain unnecessarily. Forgiveness meant reclaiming emotional strength, rising beyond cruelty's lingering chains finally. That evening, alone beneath moonlit skies, I penned my response carefully, words chosen reflecting profound emotional truth, compassionate yet firm. Jessica, thank you for honesty, vulnerability, sincere remorse. Your cruelty inflicted deep wounds, but apology begins healing finally possible. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, but reclaiming emotional freedom long imprisoned by bitterness. Trust, reconciliation may never return fully. Cruelty inflicted lasting scars, healing gradually. Yet forgiving releases cruelty's lingering power completely, allowing peace finally earned through confronting pain courageously. Heal your wounds, Jessica. As I continue healing mine, cruelty no longer defines our futures, only strength rising beyond betrayal inflicted. Genuinely wishing peace, cruelty never allowed before. Nate. Sending my letter felt simultaneously liberating yet bittersweet. Final acknowledgement of profound pain Jessica's cruelty inflicted, yet reclaiming strength, refusing further imprisonment emotionally. Time passed gently afterward, each day lighter emotionally. Bitterness slowly replaced by newfound peace cruelty had previously stolen. Jessica's apology symbolized profound growth, validation previously denied. Forgiveness released cruelty's lingering chains finally, empowering emotional strength, reclaiming life beyond betrayal inflicted. Sarah's friendship blossomed further, built steadily upon genuine trust, cruelty previously destroyed elsewhere. Her kindness, compassion allowed vulnerability without fear, cruelty once exploited mercilessly. Trust remained fragile initially, but strengthened gradually through sincere emotional honesty. Jessica's cruelty shattered profoundly, yet inadvertently allowed profound growth impossible without confronting pain courageously. Betrayal nearly destroyed everything, but rising beyond cruelty inflicted finally reclaimed genuine strength, dignity, self-worth long denied previously. Cruelty defined Jessica's legacy initially, yet sincere remorse allowed hope, eventually rewriting narratives cruelty previously dictated entirely. Forgiveness symbolized reclaiming emotional freedom finally possible, empowering life beyond cruelty's destructive shadows previously controlling everything. Jessica's betrayal nearly destroyed completely, yet healing afterward empowered profound growth previously unimaginable entirely. Her cruelty no longer defined anything, only resilience, reclaiming life beyond pain inflicted, choosing strength within finally. Rising beyond cruelty required confronting deepest wounds courageously, but reclaiming emotional freedom afterward provided profound strength previously unimaginable entirely. Jessica's cruelty wounded profoundly, but healing afterward empowered life genuinely thriving, cruelty no longer dictating anything anymore. Finally, genuinely healed fully beyond cruelty's lingering shadows, embracing strength reclaimed entirely afterward, life rewritten powerfully beyond betrayal previously inflicted cruelly. And cruelty no longer dictated anything finally, only strength within defined everything powerfully afterward.